Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903.
As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the left, it seems like they are just not satisfied with certain wins. They have to continue to try on purpose to over-sexualize our children, and they think they can claim, well, hey, this is a matter of parental rights, because if you're a parent that doesn't like drag queen story time, then just don't take your kid. But Sara Gonzales of Blaze TV says differently and has started a new venture to try to alleviate and completely destroy all of these ridiculous drag queen events for kids. So she joins me now. Sara, thanks so much for your work on this. And you were one of the people present actually at one of these shows, and you posted some video of this that we'll have up on the screen. And this is just disgusting and disturbing what's actually going on at these events.
Yeah, what is the most disturbing part to me, Jenna, is that you still have people who watch this video, who see all of the grotesque things being perpetrated right in front of children. And in most cases, the children are participating, right? The parents have the child stuff money in the child's hand and wave the child's hand around so a drag queen can come and take the money and then put it in between their fake, cleavage of their breasts. And what is the most disturbing part to me is that you have people who watch this video and continue to say, I don't see the problem. And you have to ask yourself, how far as a society have we degraded if someone watches this, sees all of the debauchery going on in front of children, and we've fallen so far, our culture has just demoralized so far that you have grown adults who actually think, this is totally fine. It's absolutely fine to do to children. It's despicable, and we are going to work to put a stop to it.
Yeah, so my question looking at these videos is literally, what is the difference between this type of activity and allowing a minor child, with or without the parent's consent, because that's not the only issue, but allowing a child to participate in child pornography? Literally, what's the difference? You have videos of kids that are like rubbing the groin area of a male who's dressed as a mermaid. You have, as you said, kids that are stuffing dollar bills down the cleavage. Obviously touching some intimate parts. What's the difference?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's the question that we continue to ask, because it seems to be that the LGBT community thinks that they have an exemption here when it comes to sexual abuse of children. Think if someone tried to bring their young child in the video that I actually uncovered a couple weeks ago, that I believe the child, she looked to be no older than 4. Think about it. If a father wanted to bring his 4-year-old daughter to a strip club, would she be allowed in Absolutely not. So why does the LGBT community get a pass when it comes to sexualizing our children? It is reprehensible. It's disgusting. And I know you mentioned, Jenna, that the issue of parental rights is often brought up. But again, we have child abuse laws in this country for a reason. It's because parental rights only extend so far. And once you start abusing your child, we used to be able to come together as a country and say, we cannot allow that. Now, apparently, if you have the right pronoun, it's deemed acceptable.
Right. And so, I mean, it should seem obvious to everyone that most things fall under parental choice and what parents want to expose their children to, but that only goes so far. And you still do have criminal laws in this society that say, wait a second, if you are abusing your children, if you're exposing them to adult content, if you're allowing them to participate in adult activities, that qualifies as child abuse. And as a society, we can all come together and say there are laws that condemn that behavior as wrong, as morally reprehensible. But as you mentioned, Sarah, it seems like the LGBT community just wants some kind of exemption, and to say that no matter what they're doing, no matter how overly sexualized they can dance, they can literally strip in front of children, that just because they are trans or they fall under this whole rainbow of pronouns, that somehow that is different than traditional child pornography or sexual exploitation of children laws. And I see no such difference. But one of the pushbacks to actually helping get rid of these so-called family-friendly drag events is that a lot of the legislators are having difficulty articulating and defining what makes this type of event criminal or offensive versus, say, a clown showing up at a birthday party. I don't see that it's really that difficult to define. Do you?
No, I don't. And it's actually the conversation that we continue to have here in Texas with the Texas comptroller, because there are certain levers that could be pulled if a business is engaging in sexually oriented activity and is not actually registered as a sexually oriented business. So it's a conversation that we continue to have with him, which is, we have these terms, we have these definitions already on the books. The term nude is obviously defined. And in my particular video from a couple weeks ago, we'll go back to use as an example, it counts as nude if you show any part of the breasts below the nipple, right? We've got that, okay? You've got a business that is serving alcohol. We've got that. Like, we've got all of the criteria. It just seems that the people who are elected, the people who are in office, aren't actually wanting to, to actually go through with it, presumably because they're scared of the pushback from this community. But it just boggles my mind, because I look at these people, oftentimes they're Republicans who don't want to act. And I think to myself, do you think that this community was ever going to vote for you in the first place? The people who want to participate in these drag shows for kids, the people who want to sexually indoctrinate our children and confuse them into thinking that they're, one of 10 million genders, are not the people who were going to vote for you in the first place. But you have a lot of mama bears and papa bears out there who would, unless you don't do your job. And it's really astounding to me that they continue to kick the can down the road, because as you pointed out, now, I will say, Jenna, you are the expert at law. I'm not. But even just as a regular person, I read this and I go, no, this meets the criteria. Why aren't you acting?
Right. And it boggles my mind that Republicans are getting down in the weeds on this and going, oh, well, we can't define certain terms. This is too difficult for legislation, or we don't want to offend anybody. I mean, when did we care more about being offensive versus protecting children? I really don't understand that. And like you said, Sarah, it's really not that difficult to say that certain areas of the body are sexual in nature because they are part of the reproductive system. And the law has always defined sexual content as, the breast area, the groin area, the buttocks. I mean, certain things like that for the purpose of sexual assault or inappropriate touching. I mean, those types of things that we've had on the books for a long time. And so it really shouldn't be that difficult to distinguish between a clown coming to an event in makeup and hair and whatever versus, if that same clown came and bared their breast or allowed children to touch their groin. I mean, that would be an inappropriate clown at that point, and that would be someone who is a sexual pervert. And so, so what do you think is really driving these Republicans in states like Texas, where we used to think of that as like the heartland of the conservative movement? And it's so frankly disappointing to see these Republicans that are so squidgy on these important issues and basically just putting the burden on parents to say, oh, sorry, you need to know what's going on in your child's classroom. You need to know what's going on. If you don't like it, just don't take your kids.
Yeah, I think it's so frustrating to watch because I've born and raised in Texas, so I have seen sort of this evolution of, this really staunch red state, and you have all of these leftists coming in from places like California, and slowly but surely it has started to, of course, trickle more towards purple. But I mean, I think that the Republicans in Congress or in the legislature here in Texas they're just so used to just doing nothing. They get this job. They think they're somebody big because they represent Texas and they're in the Texas legislature, and then they continue to do nothing. I think it was one of, at least at a national level, one of the things that I thought was so great about what Donald Trump was trying to do as president, which was drain the swamp. There are swamps that exist at every level. It's not just the federal level. It goes down to the state level. It goes down to even the local level. There are just these people who have just they were elected. They continue to be elected. They continue to play the game, and they don't actually care about the constituents that they're representing. They're more concerned with the power and the control. Again, Jenna, though, I think that they are going to bite off more than they can chew on that, because as I pointed out, their constituents, especially when you're talking about the issue of our children, I think when you're talking about the issue of perhaps high taxes or something like that, there are constituents who are willing to go, all right, you know what? Like, I don't agree with this, but there are more important things going on. I've got a life. I've got my family to take care of. I can't have a Democrat in office. This issue, I mean, we are literally in the fight to save our children. The Republicans really need to watch out. And I got to tell you, I will be there personally. They will know my face very well at the Capitol here in Texas if they continue dragging their feet on acting upon this, because we are not going to take it anymore.
And that is the exact attitude that I hope everyone watching this show takes, where they say they will know my name, my face, and I will show up. I mean, that's exactly what we need, Sarah, is for people like you in every single state to say, I'm going down to my state legislature's offices, and I am going to have them know me personally and know why these things are so important. And, where regular citizens often don't know, you can help with legislation. You can help draft a bill. You can help and you can testify in front of the legislature. You can use the power of social media or just of your community with all of these moms groups, these parents groups to bring awareness and advocacy to these issues. So what do we do, though, with someone, and using your state of Texas as the example, with someone who's a Republican in name only, in my opinion, on some of these issues, like Greg Abbott, where clearly he's the better choice than Beto O'Rourke, obviously, but his track record on these issues and what his HHS has done and what his health department in terms of not standing up against surgeries for kids, for transgender, gender affirming surgeries, which is a ridiculous moniker. How do you keep someone like him in office, but also turn his attention to actually being a genuine Republican?
Well, I mean, we got to show up. Number one, as I mentioned before, I need people. Look, I get the excuse all the time. I'm really busy. I'm raising a family. Guess what? So am I. And I am still going to make time for this because it is important and it's going to shape future generations. So they need to be showing up. They need to make sure that these state legislators oftentimes maybe go, oh, crap, not this person again. You want them to feel that way until they act. But more importantly, we've got to make sure that we are rooting out people who are called to try to serve. And we are engaging in, bringing conservative candidates who will actually do something to the forefront. Because I'll tell you what, when it comes to the state of Texas, Governor Abbott obviously won handily in the primary. But what happened, and I know this personally because one of his contenders was my very dear friend, Chad Prather, who ran for governor of Texas and was unsuccessful in actually unseating Greg Abbott. But what it did was it moved Greg Abbott further to the right, as we saw during all of the COVID mandates. He made a big mistake in participating in the mask mandates and what have you. Once Chad announced that he was running and others announced that he was running, Greg Abbott started making moves that we hadn't seen him make before, and just by sheer pressure, the pressure that was placed on him to actually move further to the right. So even if these people aren't successful, they are, right? They might not be successful at getting the actual seat, but they are successful in putting pressure on these public officials and holding them accountable for what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, and I love Chad, and I thought his campaign was great. And, my good friend Don Huffines was another one,
Yes.
primary, that same thing, where he was out there holding Abbott to account, and all of that force and all of them together, did drag Greg Abbott further to the right. And I hope that that pressure continues and that he doesn't just feel like, okay, I've been reelected now, and so I can be comfortable and I can swing back to the left. But, where are then groups other than individual parents who are really concerned, and some of these people who are willing to jump into races like this? Where are some of the groups like, these advocates, like even I'm thinking about, even some of the children's rights activists that seem to just totally be okay with this kind of exploitation of children just because it's being done by the LGBT community.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. You've got the left has infiltrated the education system. They've infiltrated systems like that, like what you just mentioned, children's advocacy places. I mean, they are infiltrating all of these communities so that they can confuse children, create chaos, and of course, ultimately destroy the nuclear family, which is what they've been looking to do for a very, very long time. But I would encourage everyone to get involved with organizations. There are organizations that exist everywhere. You just have to find them. I would encourage them. The venture that I just launched is Defend Our Kids Texas. Now, I want to be very clear with you, Jenna. I picked this name for a reason. It's Defend Our Kids Texas. It's not Defend Texas Kids. Why? Because we plan to expand nationwide into all of the states that need this particular, advocacy. So any of the states, Defend Our Kids California, Defend Our Kids New York. We named it that way specifically because we know that this is a nationwide problem. We're just trying to launch it, get off the ground here in Texas. We've had a very, very successful first couple of weeks, and we're looking forward to once the election rolls around and we see how things shake out in some of these states that are so close. We hope to get involved more at a nationwide level because I already have parents, contacting me. Hey, when can you come to Michigan? When can you come here? When can you come to Pennsylvania? So I know that it's a really, really big issue for so many parents out there. And I would just encourage them to at least, if you can't find a place where you are locally, they're welcome to go to our website. It's defendkidstx.com where they can learn more. And look, there's a donate button there, but what I'm asking for them to do is donate their time. I really don't need their money. I want their time. And I think that that's what conservatives need to remember, is that for so long we've sat on the sidelines and we've watched all of these things, the degradation of society. We've watched culture shift downhill, and we sit there on the couch and we go, oh, well, that's a real shame. I wish that wouldn't happen. No, the time to act is now. We need all hands on deck for this. Everyone has a place. It doesn't matter if you don't have a large social media following. It doesn't matter if, maybe you get stage fright and you can't testify. We can find a place for everyone, but we all need to make sure that we are participating because guess what? As I'm sure you know, the left has activated. The left is great at activism. The left has infiltrated into every nook and facet of society, and we've got to do the same.
Absolutely. That's such a great point. And it is so frustrating when conservatives love to complain, but then they say, oh, well, politics is too dirty. I can't get involved. Or, I just want to be involved in the things that are good instead of, maybe some of these debates and fights and name calling. And it's like, well, you can participate at any level. And that's what our system of government requires is civic engagement and participation, not only through our vote, as you mentioned, Sarah, from the not just the federal level, but the state and local, all the way down ticket, but to have engaged and active citizens that are willing to say, these people work for me, and so I am going to hold them to what they are obligated to do and not just remove my kids from some of these activities, but make sure that these type of abuses of other children aren't happening to begin with. That shouldn't even be an option. And it's insane in 2022 that we're even asking these questions like, what is a woman? Or, whether or not there are 57 or 67 or 127 genders, all of these things. But even more importantly than that, because adults can debate any theory we want to, but to have these types of events and activities going on that are targeting children, the most vulnerable of our society, that we even have these events and that this isn't just being shut down legally is an atrocity. And I have been so horrified to see some of these videos of kids. Like there was I think it was a 21-year-old that's a biological female that started on these gender hormones at age 15, and just went on social media saying, hey, I just want to show you what this looks like was having male pattern baldness from taking these hormones. Her voice was a lot deeper, and just said, what am I supposed to do with this? And so many of these stories that have these kids that they didn't choose this. They were following the advice of their doctors and ultimately their parents to say, okay, at a very young age, I'm getting on hormone therapy or going all the way and getting, their breasts cut off or all of these different things. And then once they become adults, they have severe regret. And our society is going to be full of these types of terribly, terribly treated children that the church ultimately is going to have to deal with the emotional and the heart and the forgiveness and the reconciliation and all of that. But this needs to be something that we're engaged and invested in now. I mean, I'm so thankful that you, Sara, have the wherewithal and the tenacity to go into some of these events and record and film and then do something about it. Because I think that for a lot of conservatives, we just want to ignore that this is happening. But seeing these types of videos, seeing these types of testimonies upfront and personal, we can't just ignore it. So just in the last few minutes I have with you, where again is your website, and how can people who are listening, if they're in Texas or if they're in any other state, get involved and support your work?
Yeah, please. I appreciate that, Jenna. So it is defendkidstx.com. And even if you're not in Texas, please just join us. There will be a box for you to just submit your information so that we can stay in touch with you. And we will be able to see what state you are in, so that once we start launching these new chapters, we'll be able to send you more information about these new chapters and where they are coming to a location near you. And I would encourage everyone to follow me on social media at Sara Gonzales TX, where I will continue to expose all of these shows and the sexualization of children until they are all shut down.
Excellent. And I wish you the greatest of success with that, and come back anytime. And please continue to share those videos. And I hope everyone who is watching or listening to this program will also share those videos, because as disgusting and horrifying as they are, we need those shares so that people are motivated to get involved and shut it down. So Sara Gonzales, you do such great work. I'm a huge fan of yours. You're a host on Blaze TV as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and your advocacy on this really important issue.
Thank you so much, Jenna.
Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. MyPillow is having their biggest sheet sale of the year. You all have helped build MyPillow into the amazing company that it is today. Now, Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO, wants to give back exclusively to you, his listeners. The Percale bedsheet set is available in a variety of colors and sizes, and they are all on sale. So, for example, the queen size is regularly priced at $89.98, but is now only $39.98 with our listener promo code Jenna, Jenna. So order now, because when they're gone, they're gone. The Percale bed sheets are breathable, and have a cool and crisp feel. These come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so don't miss out on this incredible offer. There's a limited supply, so be sure to order now. You can call 1-800-564-8475 and use the promo code Jenna, or go to mypillow.com/Jenna. You can click on the radio listeners square and use the promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. Thank you so much to all of Mike Lindell's listeners and listeners of this podcast for making sure to support My Pillow and using our exclusive listener promo code Jenna. That's JENNA.